Hey everybody, Mandy Rady again. How is everyone doing? Today I'm coming back with a new game. Well, it's not a new game. I've had this game for over a year. It's called Banished. It's like one of those city build games. Um, really like it. I'm going to admit that I am not the best at it. Um, there is a lot in this game that you need to keep on top of, or you're gonna fail miserably fast. Alright, so I'm actually going to play with like the easiest, whoops, that's not the easiest, with like the easiest settings that you can do. Simply because if you guys don't know this game, there is a lot coming into it brand new. And coming into it brand new, I would recommend playing on the easiest settings, because even though I've had this game for over a year, it's still pretty hard with everything that you have to do to keep your people from dying and to keep them thriving. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause that real quick. Looking around right now, this is what we have for a setup. Not much to start with, but as you can see, we do have some cows. Let's go. I like to have a couple boxes open. Alright, I like to put this over here and this box over here. This is the professions box. It tells you basically not everything that you need to know about your people, but it keeps tabs on how many you have, where they are, and then how many people for a job that you can put into. And then in this box over here, it tells you the season, it tells you the year, it tells you the population, whether you have adults, students, or children, and then it gives you a list of all your resources on top of the temperature, as well as the health of your citizens, and the average happiness of your citizens. Alright, so, oh, and I would recommend when you first start off, I like to play this on the fastest speed, which is 10. However, starting off, especially if you're going to get this game brand new and you haven't played it before, I would not play that on 10. At most, I would do 5. So, starting off, we're going to go ahead and build a pasture. You don't have to. However, if we get low on food, the townspeople will kill the cows if they're not in a pasture, which we don't want to do, because when we get into trading, when we get into trading, you will see that animals, livestock in general, are very expensive. So if we don't have to lose them, I don't want to. Maybe we can put it over here. I can make the largest pasture I can, which is 20 by 20. We'll get that going. Let's take a look at our surroundings. Alright, we're on a lake, which is good. So we'll probably put up a trade center, probably in that area. We're not in too bad of an area. I don't like all the clusters of mountains, but until we get further along, we're gonna have to make do with what we have. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I'm going to stick 2 people on building. They're going to go ahead and start building the pasture. And I'm actually going to stick 1 person in as a herdsman. And you can see that this person here with a question mark above their head. And right now they're not really going to be doing much because there's nothing to herd. Even though, yes, there are cows right there, the jobs pertain to the actual structure. So if the structure's not there but someone's there for the job, they're pretty much going to act as a laborer, which is someone who's not assigned to a job and they just kind of help out where they can. So they can help the builder with stuff. but they won't actually build. They'll clear off the plot or the lot or whatever you want to call it that you laid down, but they don't actually do any of the building for it. So laborers are really nice to have, and that's one thing that we'll be wanting throughout the whole thing. So while that's going on, I'm going to go ahead and also throw down, whoops, a small little crop field here, just for now, because we're going to be wanting food. So let's get 2 people in there. And so we'll get some food from that before winter comes. Well, really late autumn, I think, is when it starts to snow usually. And as you can see right now, we're in early spring, and early spring is when you want to start planting things. And aside from a crop field, we also have the option of an orchard. I don't really care for them, especially starting off right in the beginning of the game, because it takes a few seasons for the trees to grow before you can start harvesting crops. So that's more time consuming, especially if food is a factor, which right now we actually start, because the stats for your resources actually differ with each game you start, even if you start on the lowest settings. So on this one, we got lucky and we actually got a nice amount of food to start off with. Now, one thing that we're going to want to do here soon is build a boarding house, because once more people are born and move off, the boarding house is where it's just a bigger house. It's better than the wooden houses. We have 3 home options. We got the wooden houses, which is what we have right now. We have the stone houses, which are the ones that we want because they're the better option of the 3. But the boarding house is kind of in the middle. It's big, it can hold a ton of people, and it'll be nice for in the future when we get nomads, and we'll get more into that later, but when we have nomads, then they can go straight into that instead of being homeless, because when they're homeless, they're susceptible to the cold and the elements, and that does matter. So here, I'll show you. Can we click our guy? Okay. So we got this lady here. Her clothing is fair. She has an iron tool. She's our herdsman, except we don't have that built yet. And she is educated. Now, we're going to want to get a school up as soon as we can, because with the 2 words, okay, when our children go to school, they become educated. And when they're educated, they are more productive with their job, which is what we want. So if we have a bunch of uneducated farmers, they're not going to produce as many crops. And at the same time, if they don't have a tool, they're also not going to produce as many crops, whether or not they're educated. So within the first season or 2, you're going to want to get a schoolhouse built so you can start having your citizens be educated, so then you'll be more productive in the long run in your game. Alright, so we're going to click out of those. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the time a little bit. Hopefully our cows will still be there. And another thing with the animals, I believe if you get down to 4, and I could be wrong, but I believe if you get down to 4 of any one animal, they will not produce anymore, and I believe that applies for people too. I could be wrong with the people, and I could be wrong with the animals, but I know that there is a number. If you get down to, there will be no more reproduction and your town will just die out. Okay, so we got this notification that the storage for log, stones, and iron is full, which is this right here. So we're just going to slap down another stockpile. Right now, I'm not too concerned with where I'm placing things, mostly because we're starting off. There's things that we need to get up and going before we can really continue and get things done. And the other part is we're in a bad spot. I mean, we have this whole area here that we can't use. We could use this area here, but more than likely we'd have to build a little bridge, or not a bridge, a tunnel here. So I'd like to see us expanding out towards here where it's flatter. So all of this stuff that we're building right now will probably eventually get torn down. Alright, so cattle. Alright, the cows are going to go into there, and then the herdsman will be taking care of them. And now what that consists of is like feeding them and just, I mean, you'll see them. And when we hit the limit of our cattle, which you can adjust, they will kill the cattle. So if we get 21, they'll kill a cow. And if you are in desperate need of food and you have enough cows to kill before you hit the limit, you can go ahead and do that. I don't like to touch it unless I have to, because cows, they give you not only meat, but they give you leather. So they're a good, resource to have. Sheep is another animal. They give you wool and venison. Not venison, oh my gosh. They give you wool and meat. And then, chickens are another one that you can have, and you get eggs and chicken from them. Alright, so looks like that's ready to go. And if you just don't even pay attention to it, they will just automatically harvest it once it hits 100. Once we get, well, I mean, we could change it to pumpkin, but once we get more seeds, you can plant different kinds of crops. If you're running low on food and say that your crop field's only grown in 80%, you can hit that harvest button and they'll go ahead and harvest it before everything is 100% grown in, which a lot of the times I do simply because I don't have a choice. Alright, and even though it's late summer, you can only grow one round of crops per season. So since that already grew in, they're not going to do anything else with the field until early spring. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this button, which disables them working on the crop field. And essentially they will now act as laborers. So I'm going to keep this up here just so I don't forget come early spring that I need to hit this button again, so then they go back to work. Alright, so we got that going. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to throw, let's see, a hunting cabin over here. Starting off in the game, a hunter's cabin is one of the things you need right away, because it is essentially an unlimited way to get food, but it comes with a catch. See how this area is open over here and there's a lot of stone and there's also a lot of iron. That's not good to have in an area that you need woods for, which you need for the hunting cabin, because the deer will be in the woods and that's where you kill them for the game. Excuse me. I'm going to bump up a couple more builders. So what I'm going to do is I am going to select collect stone, and I'm going to have them work on this big area. And I'm also going to do collect iron, so that can get cleared out. And then I'm going to get this little road. What am I full on? I need some more space. Or is it here? No, I got that spot here that's full. Or not full. I don't know why it's telling me all my stuff is full. So we're going to ignore that. Okay, so they've got that cleared off and they're going to start building. I'm going to lay a dirt road down. Alright, and there's two different types of roads. There's the dirt road and there's the stone road. The stone road provides much faster travel for citizens. However, it costs 1 stone per block, per square, which doesn't seem like a lot, but starting off early in the game, it is a lot. I mean, this right here, if I were to do that, that's like 50 stone, and that's not even to the town. So that's stone we can't afford to waste. So we're going to stick with dirt roads for the time being, simply because that is the more practical thing to do. Alright, and they're going to have this built here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and throw on 4 hunters and get that going. And at the same time, I'm going to get this forester lodge up and going because we need more trees planted. And more trees means more food. So I'm going to throw 2 people to be foresters. Alright, and I'm going to bump this up to 4, which is the max amount of hunters we can have in one cabin. And I'm going to click out of that and they're going to do their thing. Okay, and I'm actually going to go ahead and throw down another hunting cabin. And there, get that road going a little bit. If you have, excuse me, if you have resources marked like this to get picked up, little X's, well, it's a cross of a pickaxe and an axe. If you try to lay down a road over that, it won't let you. However, if the indicators that those were supposed to be picked up were not there, it would let you, and then they would just automatically pick up those items when they would go to build the road. So we'll fill that in here in a little bit. We're going to go ahead and increase the priority of our forester lodge, because we desperately need trees in this area. Alright. Still have 8 cows. Okay. How's our storage? We're going to need to get, let's see, a woodcutter going, because right now we only have 50 stored firewood, and these small wooden houses just eat it up. Okay, and now we're going into late winter, and I'm going to go ahead and click the button for the crop field, because it'll be spring here in a minute. I'm going to put person on wood cutting. So yeah, these little wooden houses, well, I shouldn't say they're little because the houses are both the same size, the stone and the wood, but these just go through wood like crazy because I guess they're so cheap, they're poorly insulated. So we need to make sure that we have enough wood on hand, especially now because we've only got 50 firewood on hand, and excuse me, still getting over my cold. It's not going to be near enough for when next winter comes, so we need to have a nice stock on hand. So that'll be done in a second. Alright. So that's done. That just needs to be built. I'm going to go ahead and increase the priority again. Alright, so that's built. And you can only have one person at a time be a woodcutter. You can't increase the amount of people you can have working there, which kind of sucks. So eventually we're going to need quite a few woodcutters. Alright. And they're going to take a while on the Forester Lodge because it's further away. We're going to get some houses probably built down over here, so then they don't have to travel so far with work. So we'll get some houses and some storage built over here, and we'll probably start to travel more in the northern direction. And even though this is the large map, they're really not that big. See, we've already hit the end and the end. Not very big at all. But I mean, it's gonna be a lot of work to actually fill this whole entire thing up if we do, which I've never actually done because I've always died before I've gotten anywhere close. Well, no, that's not true. One time I got really, really far and I probably had a good almost third of the map filled up. Okay, so you'll see these buttons here for cut and plant. We are going to hit the cut button because that will disable them cutting down any trees, because right now we don't have any trees in this area that we can spare to be cut down that will still enable us to have good hunting for our hunters. So until this whole area gets filled in and all of these resources get picked up, we're not going to have any cutting done. So I'm going to go ahead and click out of that, and we're going to let them do their thing there. Let's see, and I want some more roads. And actually I think I'm just going to go ahead and extend it down here. Right there. Alright. So they'll get that done. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and have them get this stuff removed. So we're going to start building over here. Do we need any more? Yep, we're going to need some more storage. Excuse me. Let's see. Just throw that there. And all of this can eventually be torn down, which I will do. Oh, and as you can see right now, our amount of stored food is not looking good at all. I mean, we have none, but if you look in the houses, you'll see that they do have food. But I don't like that we don't have any stored food. I mean, we'll have some here in a minute, but it's not going to be a lot. See, 10 cows now. Alright. Going to do 2 more foresters. And yes, I know our reserve of food is low. We're going to get some gatherers going here in a minute. And what they do is You see these mushrooms here, there's these little bushes here. They collect those and you'll get things like onions and berries, and then of course mushrooms. And so that's another potentially unlimited source of food so long as you have the forest. Though they're really dependent on the forest, otherwise you're not going to get anything. Alright. No, we don't want a pasture. Gatherer's hut. Gonna throw one there. And we're gonna throw one on the other side as well. Finish off that little road there. And I'm going to actually get rid of that there. And things are coming along so far. I mean, we're not doing great on food, but oh, we're gonna shut that off. Things could be worse. So far, no one is starving, knock on wood. And resources are not bad. Our firewood is good. And this sign here is suggesting for us to increase the limit of food, firewood. But we're not going to do that yet because we're not far enough in the game where we can just chop down trees and use all our wood to make firewood. So I'm going to go ahead and have him work too and keep an eye on the firewood level. And probably once it gets down to 100, I'll probably go ahead and have them start working again. I just don't want it to get too low because then people start freezing to death if it were winter, which it will be here soon. And you can see our foresters have already started planting tons of trees. Soon this whole area will just be filled, which is what we want. Not getting too far on the huts though. Let's see, what are they even working on? Picking up resources. Why aren't you working on that? I don't have anything else building, do I? No. What's this? Oh, it's a cabin. Yeah, they are. They're working on the cabin. And we are out of reserve food. So I'm actually going to kill some cows, just in case. Oh, and look at that, I wasn't paying attention. We need more firewood. Desperately. Alright, and as you can see, we had a cow killed. So they'll go ahead and pick up the food and take it to the storage barn. Alright, we're going to need a blacksmith and a tailor built here soon. Our reserve of tools and food is going down quite fast. And once we get those built along with these three, I'm gonna go ahead then and build a school. You don't want to get too many years ahead before you get your school done, because when your population starts rolling out, you're going to want those educated workers. Another thing to keep an eye on is the houses. Quite a few people can fit into the houses, but if it's full, then the children aren't going to go out and get married and have children of their own, which then creates a problem, because then you're stuck with just elderly people, and then your town will die out. So those are some things we will probably get into for sure next episode. I'll probably go ahead and have them finish building up the gatherers' huts and the last hunting cabin off camera, but we'll work on the new stuff next time. I hope you guys liked this first video of my new Banished series. If you did, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. I'm Mandy Rayday, and thank you for watching.